welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning back for part 2 of my Morocco tour. As always, you know what I'm gonna say before I hop into this video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for your support. So, hopping into part 2, you already know it is the desert. I am so excited. I love the desert. And I really wish I could just go there every day because our day 3 was just so amazing. But okay, so we woke up in our riad and we had breakfast like normal the past 2 days. But we had our first stop shortly after breakfast, and it was at a garden, I guess I could call it, but it just looks cooler than a garden. But it is this big plot of land that has this water going through the middle, and then it goes out into all the different sections, and the land is owned by different families. And so it's really important that the families are there every day taking care of all of their produce that's in there. And the way that they do that is super freaking cool. And so they actually block it off. So they take all the mud and they block off the 3 different ways. Well, technically it's only 2 because you need the one with the water coming in. So you block off the 2 ways, so that way all the water flows into this one side. And each family is designated a different hour of the day or different time slots. So you have to be there during that time to block the water off. And we actually saw this happen, and we got to see the owner in there working his garden and making the water come into like all of his plants and his produce. So after the oasis, it was time to quad, you guys. We got to go freaking 4-wheeling through the Sahara Desert. And when I tell you that was one of the most fun, hour, 2 hours that we had, it was amazing. We just were going up and down all these sand dunes, and we got to actually stop at the top of one and do sandboarding, which I'll share that video in a second here. We literally were going up and down, and I'm telling you, like, these sand dunes, I know it's hard to tell in the videos, but these sand dunes are, I think the tallest one is 160 meters. And so they're really freaking tall, and like you're going up and down, and like we even had to hold the brake as you're going down some of them because you're going pretty steep. And when you're going in sand, your wheels tend to like slide all over, so you don't really have traction. And obviously if you turn sideways, you kind of risk like rolling the 4-wheeler. And so you have to be careful, but it was so fun. And then, like I said, we got to stop at the top of one of the taller ones actually, and we got to try our hand at sandboarding. And so Ali, because we've never done this before, he was like, okay, let's try like going down this other side first. Like the hill's a little small over here, like get your balance. And so, well, I should say, let me back up. I should say we first went down on our butts. And so we sat on the sandboard and we like slid down on our butts, which was still like some people still fall over on it. But we all made it down on our butts. And then we got to try just like our balance on this quick little hill. And then we went up and did the big sand dune, and I will say, Ty totally ate it, and I did not fall. I got all the way down to the bottom, didn't fall, and then Ali went, and he, of course, probably does this all the time, so he looks like just amazing doing it. That was so cool. So that was quadding for probably about 2 hours with the sandboarding. Highly recommend. Do not go to the desert and not quad in the desert, because it is just such an experience that was so fun. We loved it. And so after sandboarding, we had to clean up and get all the sand off of us. But after that, Ali took us to the Rissani market, and that was actually kind of his hometown. And the market there that we went to it had similarities to the Marrakesh souk that we were at, but it's also very different because it's very like, it's not touristy at all. It's all locals, and it's how they do their weekly market. It's one of the, or actually it is the longest running market in Morocco. We saw fresh meat stations, and I'm talking like full on like that meat was still bleeding, like had a heartbeat, and they were chopping it up. So super, super fresh. We saw chickens, we saw eggs, we saw, again, all the spices, we saw a lot of dates. Then you had some of the same stuff, you had the clothes, you had the bags, you had the shoes, but again, very, very different from the Marrakesh souk. But after the market, we actually got to have a super, super cool experience that we will never forget. Ali and his family, and this is actually where we got to meet Mohammed, which was super fun that we ran into him. We were invited into their family home, and his mom and his family made what is called Berber pizza for us. And so they make it, but then they go prepare it and cook it in a community oven. And so then they brought it back, and it is so good. Of course we had mint tea. You cannot have a Moroccan meal without having mint tea. But I'm telling you, it's so good. And they do the cool pours too, where they start down here and they bring it all the way up. I did not try because I probably would have missed the glass. Such a cool experience just to be with his family and to be invited into their home. We were just so touched and so honored by that. And that's something that will literally stick with us forever. So super, super thankful for that. I know that sometimes it just doesn't work out, and so it might not happen on every tour that they do, but we were just super, super grateful. So after Ali's family and us were done eating the Berber pizza, we said our goodbyes, and we got to go to this small village called Kamlia. And in Kamlia, they're known and they're famous for Ganoan music. And it is a traditional North African music that they use different instruments that are on their hands, or some play drums, and then some can sing as well, or they all sing, and they do dances. Super fun, cool music. And then we actually got to hear some different music later on in the night that I will get to in a little bit as well. But that was very, very cool to see as well. So after that, we, guys, when I'm telling you this day was like packed full, but it was so much fun stuff that like we were so go, but like we didn't realize that we were so busy because we were seeing such cool things and doing like such fun things that the day flew by. After the Kamlia village, we actually had another super, super cool experience, and Ali took us to visit a nomad family. So nomad culture in Morocco is actually pretty big. Nomads, they're living on the land, they're traveling every couple months. If it's summer, they're gonna travel to the mountains. If it's winter, they're gonna travel, back down the mountains into the desert. And they have their camels, they have their livestock, whether it's, like I mentioned, camels or sheep or different animals, chickens, of course. And they prepare their tents, and they just live off the land, and they make their little oven. They have kitchens. And when I'm telling you, this family that we visited, little Omar, I think he was like 2 or 3. He was so cute. He was chasing their family's goats and there was this little baby goat that he was totally just playing with and like teasing, and it was so funny and cute. But the mom, and I didn't get her name, which I should have written it down. I forgot it now, but she was so nice to sit with us and offer us some tea and snacks and just let us, show us around her home. They have all these different areas, and it is just amazing that they pack this whole thing up on the camels and they move it every few months. It's just, there's just really no words for it. And just how kind everybody is, like it's just amazing. Again, we're going to remember that experience for the rest of our lives as well. And they actually have experiences that you can stay with a nomad family, overnight or for multiple days in Morocco that we want to consider doing when we go back as well. That was the nomad family visit. And then after that, Ali took us in the first Tesla that he actually invented, not Elon Musk. And you can check out this video that I'm going to put here to see the video of the first Tesla. After the Tesla experience, I'll call it, we did do a few more stops, but in order for me to keep talking about the desert, I'm going to cut some of that out and move on. So we arrived at our destination, which was the camels. Guys, we literally got to ride camels. Like, I never thought I would be riding a camel in the desert. Like, that is a bucket list item that, not gonna lie, I never really thought I would fulfill, because, you know, coming from small town Wisconsin, who thinks they're gonna ride a camel through a desert? Wild. Like, I loved it. Like, I could have cried. I was so happy. And so we got on our camels, and the ride to our desert camp was about probably like an hour, but we stopped at a really tall sand dune to watch sunset, and so it probably ended up being like 2 hours or an hour and a half. The camel ride was just so fun. I will say, because again, there's like a lot of different desert camps, there are a lot of different groups riding camels through the desert as well. And so like, while you're all spaced out and you have your own peace and quiet, like, I'm talking like there's barely a sound. Like, of course your groups that you're in will be talking. Like, if you all did like wanted to be quiet, you wouldn't hear anything. Like, you wouldn't hear the other groups. We stopped at this massive sand dune, and we all got off of our camels, and we had to like run up to the top, and we got to see the sunset in the Sahara Desert, which just beautiful. And that is one of the most, like, the prettiest sunsets I'll ever remember. Like, of course, this, you know, we didn't have like the sky totally turning all these different colors, you know, of reds and oranges, but like the sun setting and still having beautiful colors and reflecting off the sand dunes was just like I had to keep pinching myself. Like, I could not believe that it was real, you guys. You know, Ty and I FaceTimed some of our family members just to like show them quick, and then we just turned our phones off. Obviously, we took all of the pictures and videos, but like, we just sat there and like enjoyed like the peacefulness. And even though there were a lot of people up there with us, everybody was just so quiet and just enjoying like this stunning beauty that was in front of us. Like, it was so beautiful. But after the sun did set, of course, we had to get back on our camels and continue the rest of the journey to our desert camp for the night. And so once we arrived, the host of the desert camp and our guides had, of course, mint tea waiting for us and some snacks, and they had a fire going. And then we were shown our rooms in this desert camp, you guys. Like, again, bucket list item. Like, literally stayed in a desert camp. Of course, it is like a luxurious desert camp. We're not in a tent or just sleeping on the sand. But it is just so cool that these even exist. Like, they're full on luxurious rooms. Like, you have a bed, you have a sink, a shower, a toilet, and like, it is a full-on hotel room in the middle of the desert. It's just amazing. And ours, actually, we actually had a smaller camp. We only had I think we only had 6 rooms, and at the time there were only 3 of us couples there. And so it was actually like really nice because it was so peaceful. And like, even if there was full capacity, like, it still would have been peaceful. You know, you're out in the middle of the desert. It is pitch black minus the fire, and you can see the stars like crazy good because there's no light pollution. But we got to sit by the fire and enjoy our snacks and our mint tea, and then check out our rooms. And then after that, we went to dinner. They had a whole tent that was meant for dinners and breakfasts and like other things. In case of bad weather, you can always sit in there too. And for dinner, we had a full like 3 or 4 course meal. And we had, if I can remember, I think we had like a salad at first, like Moroccan salad. And then we had this eggplant cheese fondue type thing that was so good. Actually, it was eggplant and zucchini with like a melted cheese on top. That was delicious. And then we had chicken tagine, and then they brought out fresh fruit, and I think there was some other dessert with it. It was just so good. We were so full. And then we got to go back out to the fire, and all of our guides and the desert camp hosts actually played us music. Like, I'm talking, there was no speaker playing music. It was all them. They were playing the drums. They had the hand instruments that were in that earlier video from Kamlia. and they were singing. I'm gonna play a video here, but my video, I didn't want to turn flash on and blind them all, and so my video is very dark, but I just want you to listen because it was just so cool. So I'll insert that here now. I mean, how cool, right? So like that song that I picked to play in the video is actually one of my favorite Moroccan songs. And it does have, I believe Ali said it has Spanish and French influence as well, but I actually like still listen to that today because I just love it so much. But then after the guides were done playing, we actually got to then get all of us, the 3 couples, we got to try our hand at playing the instruments and like singing our own song. Of course, we were all like a little like, oh, we're not gonna sing. But Ali got us singing the Shakira Waka Waka song, which of course like nobody actually knows the words to, so you're just making up words. At least I don't know the words to it. And then we were failing miserably at that, and so he changed it to We Will Rock You. Like we will rock you, because we could like do the drum beats. I think that's what we sang. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think so. We were all, you know, trying to play the instruments to the beat and then sing too, and it was just a good time. But we probably were out there until about, I don't know, like 11 or midnight. And then we just sat outside. Like the guides, of course, had to go home and stuff. And so Ty and I decided to just sit outside and just stare up at the stars for a while because, I mean, they were just so beautiful. And like you're in the desert and it's pitch black and it's quiet. I will say, so Ali had told us, you know, when we were driving, he's like, yes, your trip has started, but your trip hasn't really started until you go to the desert. And he's like, you're gonna have the best night of sleep. Like, it's gonna be so romantic. It's gonna be so quiet. Like, you're just gonna, like, it's just gonna be awesome. So we actually, like, just laugh about this. It was the loudest night ever because there was, like, it wasn't a full-on sandstorm, believe me. Like, it was not like a, like, whew, like, you can't see anything, but, like, a good, like, foot off the ground, there was sand blowing, like, and I'm talking the next morning because, so, we went to sleep probably, like, I don't know, like, 12, like, 1 a.m., and I would say I wasn't really, I don't know why, I was just so excited from the day that I wasn't really tired, so I was still kind of laying there awake, and all of a sudden I start hearing these things hitting our tent, and I'm like, because these tents are, like, metal structures with like a tarp on them kind of, and I'm like, what the heck, like is somebody throwing rocks at our tent? Like what is going on right now? But it keeps coming in, like then the tents start like flapping, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like are we actually in a sandstorm right now? Because I had joked earlier with Ali and I was like, what if a sandstorm hits? Like that'd be so cool, because apparently I want to be in a sandstorm, I guess. But cool from the standpoint of like I'd get to experience it, not cool like the fact that it wouldn't be that safe. But so I of course had to investigate, and so I grabbed my phone light and turned it on because Ty was somehow sleeping through at least this first part, and I like opened the door and I looked outside and like flashed my light outside. I couldn't really see anything, but I saw like sand blowing around, and I'm like, maybe it is a sandstorm. So I'm like, okay, I better just like go back to bed. But it was so loud, and like it got worse and worse, like louder and louder, and like more stuff was like flying, and like I'm picturing like rocks like this big were like flying and like hitting our tarp, or like our tent, like tarp thing. So it was so loud. I actually, I took videos of it just so we could remember. I don't think they would play very well on YouTube, but I'm gonna see if they will, and if they do, I'll insert it here. It was so funny. The next morning, and we walked outside, and literally all of like the carpets that you saw that were like lining, you know, like going to all of our rooms, our tents, were like blown totally on the opposite side of the camp. And like the host of the camp, even in the morning when we saw him, he was like, wow, that was really loud and windy last night. And we're like, okay, so it wasn't just us. Like, and all of the other 2 guests said that too. So we had a very good laugh about that. But the next morning, we obviously woke up very early to catch sunrise, because that was just something that you do at the desert camp. And so we were up at about 6 a.m. to catch the 6:30 a.m. sunrise, and that was stunning as well, just equally as good. But there was also still the wind, and so like the sand was like blowing across the sand dunes, really close to the ground still, but like to the point where when we went and sat out to watch sunrise, like we were getting sand in our eyes. But yeah, good times. So that was day 3, and because day 3 again had so much going on and so many fun things, I'm probably gonna have to do a part 3 and talk about days 4 and 5 and finish up this Morocco series it has become. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 3, the last one of this Morocco tour.